good. You can't all answer me at the same time. Why am I asking? Well, you kind of. Anyway, you might be wondering, why is this woman on stage with a phone? She's supposed to be a professional host. I was asked to do this show yesterday. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to have fun anyway. Yeah, we love it. All right, so I'm Liv. I'm on a YouTube channel called Dicebreaker, but you don't care who I am. We are here to talk to some of the cast from a little game called Baldur's Gate 3. I know, it's pretty good. So without further ado, why don't we start bringing people on? Okay, let's start with the one and only Jaheira Tracy Wiles. Yes, we love Jaheira. Save her at Moonrise. We can all do it. Thank you very much. And next we have Jennifer English, who plays Shadowheart. You know him, you love him, you've let him bite your neck. It's Neil Newborn, who plays Starana. Anyway, yeah, wherever you want. So then we have the guiding light, Halton, played by Dave Jones. Are you soldiers ready? Because it's Samantha Bayard who plays Carla! And then we have, well, effectively, she's the GM of the whole gosh darn game. It's the narrator of Baldur's Gate 3, Amelia Tyler! Oh, no, absolutely, nobody saw anything. All right, and welcome. Thank you so much for chatting to us all. I will say as well, you might notice that we have a little mic in the center there. Towards the end, maybe like 20 minutes towards the end, I'm going to ask that we all form an orderly line, whoever might like to ask a question to our wonderful panel here. But that will be later on, so don't rush up now or anything. How did you get cast in Baldur's Gate 3? Amelia?
I got cast in Baldur's Gate 3 when I thought I wasn't going to get cast in Baldur's Gate 3. What? Because the early access version had come out, and I'd seen all these amazing people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, never mind, better luck next time. And then they changed the narration, and I got brought into audition for that. We tried all sorts of different things. I was a little bit snarkier to start with, a little bit smirkier, a bit more sort of sitting back, watching you fuck up and enjoying that thoroughly. And then we decided maybe solidly doming people for 100+ hours wasn't a great idea, and maybe just calm it down a bit. So you only get that if you're really good. Yeah.
I don't know about that personally. Wouldn't be my casting choice, but fine, yes.
Noted.
Fantastic. Samantha, how about you?
Is this on or it's on? There's no red light. You have a red light.
No,
it's on. I can hear myself, unless you can't hear me. Where am I? What year is it? Who's the president? Anyway, so same sort of half. The first half is the same as Millie's. I accepted that I wasn't going to be in Baldur's Gate 3. I auditioned a few years ago, didn't get the role, and then, long story short, we did an indie game called The Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, which, let's hear it for Thomasina, going to places she's not welcome. I through that, when Twitter was still working, Michael Dowson Larian made his enthusiasm for the game and the performances known, and his DMs were open, and the rest is history. And I carefully worded a kind of, if you have a significantly large role going in this, could I be considered? And that was it, really. I just gave it with that sort of confidence of someone going, I believe in you. You go in and you go, right, I'll just try something, and it just happened to be what they wanted. So that was my way in.
If you don't ask, you don't get, you know? Yeah. Dave, how about you?
I got, it was just after lockdown started, so it was very welcome. I got this email from Kirsty. She did my games reel, and she's absolutely amazing. Oh gosh, yeah, like massive, like Kirsty Gilmore.
Kirsty Gilmore.
Yeah. And yeah, she said, could you audition for this character? And yeah, it's going to be, we need a video. So okay, that don't normally do that. So I'm there in a Goonies t-shirt and just did stuff.
You just did the thing. You just did it.
His original audition name was Galfin. So it's not that far from it.
I mean, I like Halcyon personally, but yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, one must cherish all of nature's bounty, but goblin guts are quite far down the list. that was an audition line. I loved that. Yeah. Which was great, and just that line. And that encapsulated the character for me.
Absolutely.
And then sent it away, didn't hear for weeks, months, and just out of the blue said, yeah, we'd love you to be involved. So yeah, that was me.
Nice. That must be nerve-wracking waiting. I would have just been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Yeah. Neil, how about you?
How did I get the role?
Yes.
I was very lucky. I'd met Josh Whedon from Pit Stop on Resident Evil 3 when we were doing the DLC, which I forget, was like a mini game that we did with her. So I'd already worked with him before, and he remembered me from then. So he asked me to audition like everybody else. We had a list of all these different races that we could play, like Tiefling and Dwarf. It was given a name called Drakenfels, which for those of us that know is a Warhammer roleplay setting and character. So I was like, oh wow, that's like a Warhammer game, cool.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the races they were asking us to audition for. I was like, no, that's D&D. I must now submit for every race of the 12 they have sent.
Yeah.
And I'll just play anything. I don't care. So I kind of thought it could be this, or it could be Icewind Dale or something like that. So I was like, I need to get in that game. So I was very lucky and tenacious, and Josh championed me with Jason Latino, and also Swen as well, who all signed off on me playing Mystarion. I didn't realise he was companion initially. I thought it was just a vampire that you kill, because that's kind of what people do. Most people play a game, they kill me. I think most people in this room have killed me at least once, right?
Anyone killed Mystarion?
No,
Anyone?
you're lying, it's fine. I'll say no. But yeah, so that's how I got involved, and then I was very lucky to be championed and supported by, as we all were, by some amazing directors and the crew at Pit Stop as well, and by Larian. And they allowed us to really flesh our characters out over 4 wonderful years of working. That's
Amazing.
it. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. Jennifer, how did you get cast?
I had no idea what it was, like I had no clue. I didn't cotton on to what it was. I just auditioned for a bunch of them, and it was the one audition. So like part of an actor's job is, or like the main part of an actor's job is actually auditioning, and usually I get really anxious, try super hard, overthink everything, have a crisis. And for this one, I was like I've worked with Josh before, I did Divinity, I'll just slap it out. And like I gave no effort to it, like I didn't write it properly. And then all of a sudden I'm playing one of the lead characters. It's one of the jammiest things that's ever happened to me, and I do accept that.
I think that's the perfect vibe for Shadowheart, though. I do not care what you think. You know, it makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. The one time I didn't care what I thought, I got Shadowheart. So, universe, thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Tracy, how about you?
So, did everybody just do one audition?
No.
10?
I did 10 too, by the way.
Yeah.
And I went, this is sailing close to the wind, because this sort of devilkin sounds like a tiefling, and if they get wind of it, these guys are in trouble.
I looked at halfling and they went, that's stretching it, I think, maybe. I'll just do the other 10. It's fine, yeah. I did 10 auditions.
Hang on, sorry, I'm now interviewing.
Oh, no, you
Is
go
that really
ahead.
rude? Sorry, but I thought I was the only one that did 3, but you did 10. You did, so what? You honed it down to Astarion and then kept tweaking
No. We
Different audition
had
phases.
We just went. It was the initial phase, and we basically did his dwarf, human, high elf, blah, blah, and we just auditioned for all of them.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Thinking no one else is going to do exactly the same thing.
We just got that role like, here you go. We were like, anything.
Please. I'll take anything.
Oh, well, I mean, I did 3 just for Jahira, but I mean, she was called Yanya at that point, and like Dave said, I had some significant lines that are now in the game, and yeah, it went on for months. months and months, and you just think, oh, it's gone, and then they come back with a new direction? Can you be a bit more like, they would send me cinema clips of film actresses and things, it could be like this.
Like
So
a mood
try and do
board.
that, and then another tweet, and that's it. That's really interesting. I love that we're going to learn stuff
I
today.
know, we're all learning.
We're all going to learn.
Fantastic. I wondered if any of you had played Dungeons and Dragons before you auditioned, before you even got cast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Big fan, big fan.
Yeah,
Me,
I
at
think
least.
three of us have played
Three of us,
tabletop a fair bit before. I've played on. I'm on my second and third D&D campaigns at the moment.
Wow.
But I've played a bunch of different systems as well. Loads of Vampire the Masquerade, loads of A Song of Ice and Fire, Cults. I'm forgetting tons of them, but yeah,
there's so
I
many.
love tabletop.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah, so I was first introduced by a very spotty friend of mine who took me to a London meetup, and the premise is that we're all mercenaries, you turn up to the tavern and you get picked for a mission. It worked really nicely, like proper one shot over
Classic.
a few drinks, that was great. That was a dragon-born barbarian called Denise, because that's easier to pronounce. She's not the smartest tool in the box.
I've done a similar thing before where I've like made a very regal high up and called her Sunbeam the Destroyer, so like, you know, that kind of opposite vibe. I love that.
Yeah, no, because I knew I didn't know the rules and I didn't care to learn them. So I thought, just point me, I hit the things and occasionally come out with a zinger. She set things on fire by accident and said sorry. And then during the lockdowns we played online, which was, it just kind of took me out for the for the high rollers because I hadn't actually rolled a real dice in years. It's all been done virtually. So I played a regretful tiefling warlock called Hope. And so between that, we have a tiefling and a barbarian. So that really helped again. Once I knew the class and I knew where we were going with it, I could pick that up, and that really helped. Pronunciation's not so much, but that's always been a problem with D&D and me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the worlds and where we are, like that really helped cut down some of those sessions because the poor directors having to look up what some obscure thing that you're saying.
Yeah, very nice. Neil, did you say you've also played some tabletop? Some D&D?
I may have. Yeah, I played a lot. Yeah, I started. My first D&D character was a swashbuckler. It was supposed to be the beginning of a campaign. I'd people would join us. So the DM set it on a pirate ship. I was breaking out the pirate ship and trying to swim to shore. I decided at the point of jumping into the water, I wasn't going to do that. And then I tried to take on the entire ship. My character died, and that was the end of that first campaign.
I think my first experience of something similar to D&D, I think it was like a sister campaign or something, was also TPK.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage, really, isn't it? You've got to have your TPK. If we can
It's a
really
humbling
character,
game,
yeah.
isn't it?
You're going to die in a lot of fantastic ways. I also wanted to ask, when you were given the character to audition for, what kind of brief were you given? Like, or was it a kind of case that you were able to like develop the character over time, or what do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe we should actually
We're going down the line.
Sure. I can swap it around if you want.
I don't mind. It's you. You're in charge. I'm not the dungeon master right now. It's you.
You're so right. And for sucking up to me, you make a
Thank you. I know how this game is played. I've forgotten the question now.
the brief you were given for like your character.
Oh, yeah, okay. So the first version of the narrator that we went for, the brief was Scar from The Lion King. So it's essentially that smirk of like, oh, you think? Mm-hmm. Oh, lovely. What a shit. And then slowly as we started to develop it and we gave it more of a character, like a lot of people that are on their first playthroughs don't realize there are distinct narration styles depending on who you're playing as. So we ended up with, 17 completely different narration styles depending on what's happening, which character you're playing as. So like if you're playing as Shadowheart, it's a much higher pitch, it's much lighter, it's a little more emotionally tense. If you're playing as Dark Urge, it's like full-on bestial, I want to tear you apart and ruin your life.
Yeah.
So it strayed quite far from the initial brief, eventually. But I particularly enjoyed the Dark Urge.
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun. I think the tadpole stuff is as close to the original brief as we ended up going. Because when I pipe up and something's deliberately manipulating what you're thinking, we wanted that nod, because there's nothing worse in D&D or any tabletop, right, than the dungeon master taking your choice away.
Yeah.
So in those moments that that's happening in the game, we wanted it to be a very knowing nod, and like, we know this is happening, we know you don't want this, it's cool, we're aware that this isn't great. It'll be over soon, just breathe through the pain.
I think a good example of that is when, have we all played? I hope I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, hopefully. We'll see. You find a creature that can tell you what to do via a tadpole in your head, and you can kind of hear your voice take on a kind of like, maybe you like them, maybe you think they're the best actually, and you can really sense that in the performance. It's really cool. Thanks. Of course.
Yeah, so I realised later that I'd auditioned for Karlach already some years ago and didn't get it at the time. And the brief was, I think, a little closer to the Avernus add-on book. I can't remember, what is it called?
The
D&D Avernus.
Descent into Avernus? Descent into Avernus.
Into it, yeah. Not out of that. So
there was a send up.
Yeah. So the idea that it was, I don't think Karlach's in that, but it's happening at the same time, because your El Terrell is there for a year. Damon, we have an understanding, we've both been there, but he's been there a year, I've been there 10 years. So that origin was always there. When the press release for the final version of Karlach was out, it was pretty much what I'd been given, which was, if this was set today, Karlach would ride in on a Harley, with a leather jacket, with a cigar between her teeth, blaring Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So lesbian coded.
Yeah.
So I got the brief. Just give him something. Let's give him a character, right?
I would personally love to say thank you for that. Yes.
I said thank you. I was like, yeah, absolutely, because we got, and then like everyone liked her anyway. But when we said diesel soap dynamo with a heart of gold, and it just gives you so much. It gives you an entire character.
What a role.
Chaotic good. That's what I went with, and that was consistent. And then I think eventually my writer Sarah Bayless was cottoning on some of my delivery, and any more snark or sarcasm we could get out of Karlach was just starting to go in there. But the brief was always that same origin of being enslaved in hell for 10 years and getting out. So that was always there, and so then we found out as it went. And the audition had 5 different scenes anyway, including a very Brian Blessed delivered.
God, I want to ride you till you see stars!
And that's what got me the jobs. Or one of the many. But I really held on to that side of the horniness, and but said she didn't really change. We developed, but she didn't change that much.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Dude.
It was. I generally tend to get most of my character from the actual lines themselves, rather than the brief. They said he's a druid, but he's a bit more buff than your normal druid.
Oh yeah.
He really is.
Quite weird.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. Is everyone okay? Are we all good? Yeah.
No, not even slightly.
And so, I just thought, right, he's going to be a lot more deeper registry. The lines themselves were just exquisite. And then he just, he
kind of grew as
he
you
was
name, I guess,
Yeah, but to be honest, the character even evolved from the first act anyway, because basically we went into early access, and so his character it just took off from there. But the actual original brief, he was just a buff guy.
Yeah, just a buff guy.
Yeah,
and you can run with that,
Yeah, but that was it. Yeah, he was. There's no real good or bad side to him. He loves nature. He loves order. He loves most things, but if there's something bad out there, he will not be afraid to tear the fucker apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we see when he turns into a big bear and helps him out. Yeah, love that.
Happy to go to town. Yeah.
Neil, how about you? What brief were you given about Astarion?
So when they asked me if I'd like to demo for Astarion and
Yes.
go through it and all that stuff, which was amazing, there was a lot of space to work in. So they gave me things like they wanted a high inflected accent, like an upper class accent, because he's from a noble background, he's a magistrate, etc. They had a very brief summary of kind of what happened to him and why he's in the predicament he's in, without going into too much detail. And it was pretty open apart from that, really. So
So it was all you, basically.
no, not at all. Do not, no, get rid of the bus. No, not at all. It was all Stephen and the writers, and also Laurie. I was given a lot to work with straight away. He happens to be quite garrulous, which is useful. So there's a lot of information that he also, it was very apparent that because of the theatricality of him, which they obviously informed me a lot about as well, that we could play a lot with the text. So I started pushing the text a lot, like way further than maybe they had expected me to do so. And Stephen Rooney's an amazing writer. He's the main writer for Astarion, absolutely incredible writer. He heard my rhythm on things that he didn't expect me to do in a certain way. And because of that, he sort of said, okay, well, if I push that a bit more in my writing, let's see what he does with that. And so we very quickly had a rhythm between us, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And through that, I realized that, okay, if they're letting me do this, what else can I do?
How far can I take this?
And then suddenly I started going, right, well, we can open the character up. He is manipulative, he diverts, he's a survivor, which is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
So all these different and he's also up for fun. He's also obsessed with freedom, the idea of being completely free.
Yeah.
So that gave me loads of stuff to work with. And we had so much time, like 4 years to develop with the story. The other cool thing about it is that we were doing Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It wasn't necessarily the whole thing. We weren't jumping to the end of the game. We were going, we're in Act 1 right now, let's focus on that. Which meant that there was an immediacy. I don't know how you feel, but I'm pretty sure it's the same for all of us. I don't know, I don't want to speak for you. But I think when we found out what the story was, how the story was progressing, our characters were finding out. So there was an amazing sense of, oh, okay, cool, that's where that leads. So, which is not always apparent, because sometimes you get a full script on a shorter game, on a shorter script for a film or whatever. You know the whole story, whereas this was like, we're discovering where it goes and how it can end up in a multitude of different ways. So for me it was like, right, all I need to do is develop my character and really see exactly how far I'm allowed to take it. And then the habits will come through that, and the background as it gets developed will inform me more about him, which informs me more about the habits, the movements, the voice. And then actually we ended up with what we have, which is a wonderful gift of a character. The interesting thing as well is at the beginning of the sessions, we were still quite bound with the character, which was appropriate because he doesn't know the player. And then as we were developing the character, he becomes more and more open.
For sure.
And it works. It's a happy accident. Because I wasn't sure exactly where to take the character initially on the first few sessions. That came later on as we developed it. And so what you have, if you notice in the game, his voice register is slightly lower, he's a lot more physically closer, and then he starts opening up to who he really is, because he's incredibly guarded at the beginning. And it's a happy accident. And Stephen and I have talked publicly about that together, so I think pretty sure it's okay to talk about. But yeah, it was a really interesting experience as an actor.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I think it was probably the same, I imagine. It was amazing, so that's a gift.
Awesome. Jennifer?
What was the question again? I forgot it.
One of us.
What kind of brief did you get for Shadowheart, and did you kind of develop the character as you went along? Which I guess you kind of did.
So I didn't audition for, as I said, I didn't audition for Shadowheart. I auditioned for like generic races of the game. So when I came in, I found out everything kind of on my feet, really, which was great because I think it meant that, as Neil was saying, like you got to add all these layers in as we were going along. Because I had no idea about Shadow. I think I got a little bit. I knew that she was like a Sharan cultist, which I don't think is massive spoiler.
Hopefully not, yep.
It's pretty obvious.
Too late now, Jess.
Too late now, guys, sorry. But, you know, and so I'd find out about it and I'd look up the D&D lore and what Shard was about and blah, blah, blah. But as the character developed and the writing developed and what the player found out, as Neil said, I found out, which meant that, which kind of works with Shadowheart's backstory, which I will not spoil, but maybe a lot of you know there is something that has happened to certain things in. I can't say
we know
it,
stuff has
really.
happened to Shadowheart, but she just won't tell us about it. So it's like,
Yeah,
you know, it's
I'm going to be really careful because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, it just really worked with that aspect of her character, and it just meant that, yeah, as you said, that like the authenticity of the relationship with the player was just really there because. And that's what I really love about this game and all the characters in it, is there isn't an immediate bond, because there just wouldn't be. You wouldn't be like, oh, well, unless you're Karlach, because Karlach's incredible.
Karlach is Karlach.
And we all want to be Karlach's best friend, or lover, depending. Sorry, girlfriend. But yeah, it just means that it feels like a real relationship. And when you get to that point of best friendship or loverdom, what's that called? Loverdom?
partnering,
Partnering romance stage.
Romance.
It's not this win state. It's not just like, oh, you've achieved this, you've unlocked this, well done. It feels organic and truthful, and I love that because it serves the hundreds of hours that you've been investing in these characters. I think that's wicked.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy, hi.
Jira, of course, doesn't get romance, so...
Much to everyone's disappointment, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, mine.
Anyway, what was the question about?
So, I was about to ask you. You remember? The brief you got for Jahira.
Yeah, the brief I got for Jahira. Yeah, it was brief. It was Jahira, half-elf druid, old, and maybe 10 lines, and I think they were to do with Marcus. Is that spoiler or not? Won't say anything else. And for each edition subsequently, it was the same 10 lines. Because I think that, you know, we're all NDA, so even at that, I didn't really know anything. I hadn't twigged what it was. Even if I'd heard the name, I wouldn't have had a clue. So I just went on instinct, developed it just with the lines, and tried to take the direction. So the brief for me was really small, I think.
Okay, the brief was brief. Yeah, love that.
For me, and slowly winning around. I think it's a fantastic job, and what a great opportunity you got to do that. So yeah, let's challenge ourselves for the sake of not being a boring bastard on this panel.
You know, the interesting thing about that is that if I had to,
Yes.
Professionally,
Yeah.
Karlach would probably be my challenge.
Nice.
I'd love to play a Karlach.
Karlach, the story in Body Swap DLC.
Body swap.
Come on, Marion.
You're me.
But still with the voices though. Still with the voices. Like, oh my god, I'm enormous. Oh my god.
Oh yes.
Just both of them looking in the magic mirror, just horrified.
It's a Freaky Friday DLC, the one we all need. Yeah.
I think my casting type is halfway between Astarion and Karlach, let's face it. And I kind of played an Astarion-esque role in Larian's previous game, in Divinity Original Sin 2. I played Malady, who is essentially, if you haven't met her, Astarion, but with way more power and gave absolutely zero shits about any of your drama.
That's very interesting. I may have to look into that.
Yeah, she's great.
For science.
So yeah, I think it'd be Karlach for this. I just want to play someone who wants to punch the world in the face.
Yeah. Don't we all?
With love.
With love. But really hard.
But really hard.
It's a dichotomy.
Has ADHD and kind of put the mic on and just goes, don't know where she is. And she goes, she's here. And she goes,
Trying to hide.
Hi. Yeah, hi.
You
I'm
can't hide
Ariana. Do you have ADHD? At this point, I was not diagnosed, and no, I did not know I had ADHD. And but I was like, okay, this woman gets my movements. This woman can rein in my tics. And
I wish somebody would do that to me. Oh my gosh.
yeah, and I was like, great. You can be my performance director. Luckily, like I could do that. And then we fell in love, and now we've been going out for years. So you know, the mocap was great. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty cool story. Yeah.
Thanks.
Also on that note, I've just spotted some other people that do mocap that are amazing in the crowd there as well. So hello to the rest of those people who don't want attention but too late. And they've also created an amazing space in doing the motion capture for cinematics and movement as well, all across the world, but also in Guildford on top of Kuala Lumpur and Quebec. And they are the unsung heroes of a lot of the game's animation, as well as the animators and developers as well. But those cats over there who don't want to be seen right now, especially Leah, they're amazing.
Like a little bit of a clap, honestly.
A huge clap. It's Greg here as well. No? Alright.
You're going to have to ask Jen the question again now.
We never really know if it didn't go through. Would you know? Because there's so many lines that...
Thousands.
You know what I mean? There's definitely lines I've not seen yet. My lines change, and my favourite one at the minute, and it's quite loud, I'm sorry, but it's kind of out of context, but maybe you've seen it in the game. She just goes, you don't even know what they ask of her, she just goes, I'll try and do it, ha what? Shut up! And I watched it and I thought, I don't remember that delivery. I don't remember why I'm doing it. It seems a bit odd, but it's funny. And that's my favourite line.
That's now my favourite line as well, so.
That's my ringtone.
Shut up.
Okay, this is being streamed, pretty sure it's going to be clicked. Jennifer, how about you?
I wrote down a list. I couldn't sleep the other day, and I was like, what are my favourite lines? So I've got it all prepared. I do like, you can't cast a shadow without some light. I think that's stunning. You can't cast a shadow without some light. But also, I do like, this one's my favourite at the moment. You're loyal as a pup and twice as pretty.
It's true. Neil, how about you?
I got too many ones. There's too many. I don't know. I don't have a favourite. No. There's some really fun ones. They allow me to really push way too far. In some ways. What was it? Something about the clown moment.
Oh, the
which
clown
was
was very good. Yeah.
Which again, I was lucky because we all got the scripts early, so a few days before. So I'd always go through thousands of lines going, that's what I'm going to do with that, and then just try it and see if it worked. That one worked out really well.
Nice.
Was it, of course, what fun, I'm going to fucking kill you. Things like that, you know.
It's very good.
I was right there.
That one I was going to say is
That's a
very
good one.
That's like trending on TikTok constantly, just like.
That was interesting because it's a good example of reactive lines. That some of the lines that we have, including the ones that we haven't seen yet, you know, that are in the game, blah, 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 you can only do that if you do certain things in certain ways. And there's stuff that people will never see dialogue-wise because you didn't make that choice. I think it's amazing that there's so much. Not only that, but also accounting for things like chosen pronouns, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing testament to Larian to see how much they put in the game, knowing that some people will never choose this, that, the other. It's incredible. So there's too many good lines.
Yeah, very true. Dave, how about you? Favorite lines?
Yeah, it's. Honestly, I didn't think that a lot of players would actually choose that path anyway. But it's got to be the you like it. So yeah, probably that actually.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I've got one for the content and for the context, which is Karlak's been dying to say this for 10 years, and now she gets to say it. Mizora, I've taken more pleasant shits than you, and at least those can be buried after. Fighting talk. Oh, it would be easy to say authority, but aside from that, which I love, and I now have on a necklace, and apparently I'm saying that in people's heads now, every single Dark Urge line I just love because it's so juicy. I love some particularly snarky gravestones where it's like, may the crows use this grave as a privy, that sort of thing. But my favourite line at the moment, this changes on a weekly basis, my favourite line at the moment is tongs, a wide variety of tongs, because it went just so deliciously pratchety.
I like the silly ones.
Lovely. Okay, we have some questions in the audience. Hi.